All right, folks, welcome to another Poptoberfest video. Here we're going to talk about The Frighteners. That's right, a Michael J. Fox movie from 1996 made by none other than Peter Jackson. This movie is
Yeah.
actually credited with moving him towards making Lord of the Rings, and hopefully we'll help the old guys remember uh, to explain how that actually happens, because there's this little clip that I will try to include in this whole process, depending on how copyright goes, to have him explain to you how we even got to that point from Frighteners to Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Interesting film, Baron. Thanks for joining me to talk about it. I think this was your first watch experience as well,
It
so that's
was.
always interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, man. Had you at least seen or heard of Frighteners? Because this is one of
Oh,
those that
yeah.
okay, I knew that as a Peter Jackson uh, fandom that we are in the middle of. Most of
Mhm.
us have at least heard of it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this movie and really enjoying it at the time. And then I thought
Mhm.
to myself, have I ever watched it again though? I don't own it. I've never owned it digitally. And I thought to
Mhm.
myself, huh, I wonder why. And then I'm putting it on the radar screen for this month. And then I
Mhm.
realized it's rated R. And I was like, oh, I
Mhm.
don't remember it being rated R. I don't remember it being anything risque. So as I
No.
started down this rabbit hole of this journey, that's one of the things I had on my radar screen is, why is this movie rated R? So let me just give you a general gist of the story, folks. Michael J. Fox plays sort of like a con man Ghostbuster. He is dealing with this There's this little backstory here with Jake Busey, who is this
Mhm.
serial killer from decades gone by. His girlfriend is played by Dee Wallace in this, which I thought was a funny
Mhm.
connection because that was not planned when Dee Wallace was just in The Howling, a movie that we had talked about here recently.
Yep. I was
And
gonna bring that up, and she was credited as D. Wallace Stone
there,
because,
exactly what you had
mhm.
made reference to at the time. Yes.
Yeah.
And he was this serial killer, and he's killed X number of 12 victims, and it's kind of like got this one uppance thing that's going on here. We'll come back to him. Here's the great
Mhm.
Peter Jackson.
Mhm.
And the movie is definitely billed as being very intense and very
Yeah.
scary, but it
No.
also doesn't feel that way, as the Michael J. Fox character is kind of going around. He's trying to drum up business at a funeral. He ultimately has some interactions, and then
Mhm.
uh, runs across this guy who's just a complete a hole, and then
Mm.
he dies, and it puts him in the crosshairs of this lady he has a sort of like a quiet affection towards. This is the guy that's
Mhm.
on the ride, the a hole, and we find out how he can see ghosts, and he's using those ghosts to manipulate people into an exorcism for cash sort of scheme.
Mhm.
And the journey starts to transpire that he has seen like the next victim. He's seen a symbol and a sign of who will
Mhm.
be next, and that sort of thing, as this sort of reaper creature is wreaking havoc on those victims in this little town that he's playing in.
Right.
What surprised you the most about that first half of the movie with the setup part? Was there anything that surprised you from what you expected?
Um, I really can't say the only thing I would sit back and say that surprised me was the believable humor
Hmm.
that was in there, the believable banter, especially with between him and his ghost partners. John Aston there as the crazy outlaw. It's like, wait a moment, this shouldn't be. Oh, yeah, and of course we have Peter Jackson, but the how it was meshing together. I mean,
Hmm.
you were having that build up. It's like, oh, what's going on here? You got a guy taking pictures. You figure that at a funeral like this, they'd tell the reporter to get the f out, but they didn't. They were more torqued off at good old Michael J. Fox's character going around there handing out these cards. Frank Bannister, of course, his name in the movie. A great name, Frank Bannister. I mean, that's almost like when we were talking about when we were watching things like the Wolf, like Wolfen, and some of the other ones where you have kind of that detective. You can just see this guy walking hard boiled, and
Hmm.
Michael J. Fox, how he even portrays it, was almost like one of those detectives of old. So he's living up to the name Frank Bannister. I just was so amazing how this film was coming together more than anything.
Yeah, it's very clever Really constructed very well. Yeah, that's the great Peter Jackson's little cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Comes out of a store, bumps into Frank Bannister. He has like a Grim Reaper on his shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, the ghosts are great. Obviously, I'm a massive Chai McBride guy. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
just a completely underutilized performer. I love him in just about
Yeah.
everything. But Michael J. Fox plays the Marty McFly, sort of a different loser version of that character as this
Right.
sort of like Ghostbuster. And it takes us a little while in the film so we can kind of understand how this kind of came to be. But
Right.
he had been involved with this horrible car accident that took his wife's life, and since then, in that
Mm-hmm.
trauma, he has seen ghosts. And he goes to the cemetery, he sees ghosts there, and he has these couple of ghosts that he's kind of working with,
Mm-hmm.
and they do set up in a very slow again, a very decent process of,
Oh yeah.
hey, when you die, there's this little tube of light. Why didn't you go to your little thing? Why didn't you go into the portal? Why didn't you? If you stick around, you're kind of stuck, and you're stuck
Right.
for a while until there's another portal. So it is got a lot of elements that set up their world building, I think, very, very well. And I was still very pleasantly surprised by how all that was coming together, for
Right.
sure.
The build up they're doing. It's like they're Peter Jackson wasn't rushing it, but he wasn't going too slow. It gave you a chance to start getting to know characters, dead or alive, uh, as you're moving along, and start forming, as a person watching it, an attachment to it. It's like, I really like that ghost. He's great, man. Or oh
Hmm.
wow, what and then as you're going along, you start wondering exactly Michael J. Fox, because you gain more of his backstory. The Frank Bannister is just like, okay, what are we truly dealing with here with Bannister? Is he really, you know, this or that? Is he more, is he crazy? Is it truly crazy? Is no, we don't know. And perfect scene with him and his late wife in there. Uh,
I
so I
love that they
mean,
give him. Like I said, I love that they give him the long hair. So actually,
yeah,
he looks like Eric Stoltz
he does.
at
He
glance,
does.
which is ironic because of Eric Stoltz being the original Marty McFly
Right.
in Back to the Future. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have this sort of bickering back and forth because he's so selfish,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of doing something for her, he does this thing for him, and it leads to this argument. He
Mm-hmm.
had been drinking a bit, car
Mm-hmm.
crash. So
Right.
yeah, I really thought that the film just does a great job of navigating the general story very, very well. Takes his
Mm-hmm.
time, makes us care about everything, including the ghosts and all their
Right.
bizarreness. I will say I wanted your thoughts because I thought it was kind of odd. We have this FBI guy brought in, Jeffrey Combs, hired from Reanimator.
Yep.
He is really great
He
in a
is.
lot of ways. It's almost distracting because it allows the comedy isn't even because of his character. So
Yeah.
he has all of these bizarre behaviors and tendencies that kind of throw the pace or the feel out of whack. So, for instance, if any of the women start yelling at him, he starts freaking out, putting his ears in. He's like, ah, like wigging out, and you're like, what is happening with this character?
Right.
And he's completely overzealous about paranormal crime and what could be, what it could not be. He even
Mm-hmm.
has this crazy, I don't know, lead metal vest thing at one point
Mm-hmm.
that he has on. You're like, what on earth is happening with this character? He only weighs like 150 pounds. That thing alone is probably 60 pounds. Dude. So,
Yeah. I mean, this is like Fox Mulder on speed.
yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, or meth or something like that. And yeah, I think if they would have toned his character down just a little bit, it would have been perfect. It was just a bit over the top. And I love how they make his haircut look like a certain Austrian corporal who decided to get into politics. It's like that's the one thing that got me. Oh, look at the hairstyle that he's got. The part and all that. He's just missing a mustache. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't. I just feel like so, but I will say too, there's also a lot of moments in this movie, and this character as well, I think is part of that. They do it a little bit.
Hmm.
They have several moments that are very spot. All the names, some of the names are that way.
Hmm.
Um, right out of The Shining, you have
Right.
moments where Peter Jackson is showing off his fandom and his love in a very pure way. This film is riddled with these type of references and definitely little
Mhm.
callbacks, and the trivia goofs and all that kind of stuff will be loaded with Easter eggs and these kinds of things as
Right.
well. For those of you who've never seen this movie,
Yeah, they weren't over in your face homages.
mm-mm, no,
But you can, it depends on how hard you're watching the film. You can start catching. Hey, wait a moment, is that? So it's not member berries. They're true homages because it's not. Do you remember? Do you remember this from Shiny? Remember? No, no. It's organic.
I can communicate with the other side. I can see spirits. I don't know why.
Experience another side of the other side. The Frighteners.
So the problem I have with the movie, he kept final cut. He kept final control of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So there are studio should have had some final cut input. Just saying, because you have
Yeah.
a couple of things that kind of get away from him a little bit. Again, this is young filmmaker syndrome. Needs a little bit of guidance. Needed someone
Right.
in the room. Most of the great films back from the early days of some of these creators, they usually had someone around them
Right.
trying to wrangle them in. Obviously, Marsha Lucas with George. George would just be wrangled in by Marsha as the
Mm-hmm.
editor, and she fixed a lot of things that George otherwise would have done
Yeah.
wrong, right? Some of the
And Gary
screenings.
Kurtz too.
Go ahead.
And Gary Kurtz too.
Gary
Gary
Kurtz,
Kurtz
right.
was trying to hold
Right.
that. Yeah.
The way certain movies were screened and they had people around them to say, hey, the end of this movie is kind of a downer. Hey, this joke doesn't work. This is very
Mm-hmm.
distracting. So it wasn't just, they didn't rely on just these audience screenings that we get now. No, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had people around them to wrangle them in.
Right.
So the first thing is, and this goes back a little bit, I don't have a great screenshot for some of the other pieces of it. They end up in a museum. He writes himself into a corner because he's trying to go. Michael J.
Mm-hmm.
Fox's character, Frank's able to see these numbers. The next one is going to be this reporter that's already given Frank grief.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to figure out how to get her with him and being chased by the Reaper. What do we do? How do we do that? And then we also have these three ghosts. We don't really need three ghosts when we're going to
Yeah.
ultimately have a big fight scene. We got to get rid of at least one. So they put them in this museum. And like you said earlier, it's in a review that we're doing on Wolfen, that the
Yeah.
cops just come in a blazing. So next thing you know, the cops are not so. Dude, they don't really have any great physical evidence on Frank Bannister, but they're going to try
Mm-hmm.
to bring him in for questioning, and it turns into like an all-on shootout. And then, of course, the Reaper attacks. The judge walks in. He's shooting whatever. It's just absolute chaos and mayhem. And then the
Mm-hmm.
movie decides to have the judge sees a mummy and she has good teeth. He decides to go humping on her and they show his long butt. But unfortunately, it's like he's dressed. But it was like, I like it when they stay still like that. It's like, we didn't need any of that. And I'm not even
Yeah.
sure we needed the museum sequence. We just need to figure
No.
out how to get this plot hole fixed, right? How to figure out how to get these characters
Mm-hmm.
where they need them to go.
Looks like I ain't shooting with blanks no more. They don't call me the hanging judge for nothing.
Oh, snap.
Oh my.
So this movie has this piece that gets a little,
Right.
I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt and just call it clumsy, but it's kind of a mess in that
Yeah.
how they handled all of that.
Right. And don't get me wrong. I thought, it was absolutely hysterical. John Aston's judge, as he was
Yes.
known as, having relations with the mummy, but not for this film. That would have worked for a different film. Something that would
Yeah,
be
it
a little
felt
bit
way
more
out of place. Yeah.
right. If you had an Animal House Ghostbusters film, that would work. If you went all out with having a goofy comedy like that, but no, this is a serious film with mostly true organic laughs, the interplays and such like that. Um, and some goofy moments, but yeah, just like Jeffrey Combs' character, the FBI guy, and in that scene, it's just, one over the top, the other one not necessary.
I think they could have just done. He goes into the coffin's
Hmm.
bouncing around.
Yeah,
Frank's like, "Oh, Judge, please," you know what I mean? And then it
yeah,
proceeds. So at least we reduced the joke to something that's
yeah.
more like, "Hey, when the coffin's a knocking, rocking,
Well,
don't
but
come a knocking" kind of joke. You don't have to say anything,
right,
just show it, right? And
right. That
then
that that works a lot better. Yeah, exactly. You just
right,
rewrote that scene and made it better.
and then the cops shooting up the place so much was so absurd. And there's some sort of museum curator that's actually there who we don't even see the whole, hey, stop shooting up all of the priceless artifacts, by the way. So
Hmm.
it just needed to be cleaned up and tightened up a little bit.
Right.
I will say again, though, I do want to echo what you said. Yeah, seeing him as the ghost and the voice, that
Hmm.
was great. Loved it. It was great having
Right.
them in there. That was fine for sure.
Yeah, and then
100%.
of course he's worked with John Aston here, and when he moves on to his big project, he has his son, Sean Aston.
Yep. So the problem is now Frank's in a mess with that FBI guy, turns himself in,
Hmm.
and the lady that I showed earlier, the wife that he's becoming kind of affectionately drawn to, and she's
Hmm.
kind of murder mysterying this together as well, which is totally fine.
Right.
Um, she's the one that comes up with the scheme that because he can't protect her in his human form because he can't fight the Grim Reaper thing,
Hmm.
so he needs to figure out how to die. She comes up with this really bad science
Yeah.
experiment, very flatliners, bad
Hmm.
of I'll just make you dead and then
Yeah.
reanimate you. And it doesn't really resolve the plot exactly. It just sort of kind of gives us something to do.
Hmm.
Disappointed. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. And then
No.
we have to have stupid FBI guy show up with an Uzi. We're like, where on earth would FBI guy have gotten like an Uzi? Like, he's just nuts. And it's just like,
Right.
it creates an unevenness for me. Not that it was never bad, but it
No.
kept creating this unevenness for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of uneven. I mean, I can believe an FBI guy getting newsy. It's just, either he used his library card at the armory, or maybe it's from his personal collection, because obviously he's a paranoid. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that comes across that. And of course, her being a medical, person in there, I don't think she was quite, was she? Yeah, she was a doctor, right? I
Yeah,
can't
she's a
remember.
doctor. Hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if she was like a nurse or a doctor, but with the medical skills, so things weren't adding up for her. It's natural that she would kind of start investigating, especially in this small town. Boom, there it is. There, I can see that, but of course, then you kind of get over the top. But then, just like Mystery Science Theater 3000, just relax. It's just a movie type of thing. It's like, okay, this is a fanciful, crazy film. Um, no, it's like if we start thinking too much about it, it's just going to drive us nuts,
I
and that's
think
not
that
what we're here for.
I think that it would have been more interesting to have her, instead of it being a medical doctor, having her be
Hmm.
more like paranormal Ghostbuster type doctor. Like, it would have been more interesting
Yeah,
to say I have this way of fighting them instead of it being I'm gonna, because it didn't really get us to where we needed to go, because the
right,
real drama surrounding this movie is the fact that the serial killer guy is the Grim Reaper,
right.
and the D. Wallace Stone, the girlfriend from the past, is still here, and she's the one
Hmm.
that's kind of help resurrect him with having the ashes in the house and all this other different things that are
Right.
going on here. So the whole side journey didn't really get us to what we needed to know. It didn't help us as
No.
much as the sacrifice of the pacing, the sacrifice of the flow. But again, like I
Hmm.
said, I actually really am enjoying this movie. I'm
Right.
enjoying the experience, and everybody is great in these sequences. Everyone in these
Yeah.
moments and scenes are very, very good. I'm enjoying. This is him in the freezer. Look at how good she is in this movie. Oh my gosh, she's
Yeah.
so good. This is the
Yeah.
flashback.
Wonderful.
Here's Ray.
Hmm.
Oh, the sheriff. I love the sheriff.
The
Troy
sheriff's
Allen.
great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sheriff is really good. Really, really good.
Much of that was spent undercover with various cults and sects. For God's sake, Milton, would you come inside and sit down?
I'm more comfortable standing.
Milton, You're mumbling. We can't understand a word you're saying.
You know, Peter Jackson does throw that red herring out there about the Wallace Stone's character.
Mm-hmm.
We're still kind of confused back and forth. We know that she was, as we go along, she was involved with this guy. But she's out, and it's like, well, is she like a Squeaky Fromm, or is she a Hearst?
Mm. Yeah.
Patty Hearst. So I mean, at least you got that fence. It's going to be one way or the other. And of course, the way the mother was acting
Yep.
through the whole thing,
Did a
which
great
helped.
job. He handles it all really
Mm-hmm.
well. He keeps you guessing. It's a mystery to unpack.
Right.
The real story of this movie, though, are these effects.
Yeah.
Way ahead of their time. Just beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
It's shot so well.
Mm-hmm.
Performances are great. If you've never seen it, this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try to see if I could, while we're chatting, I'll see if I can find one that shows that they would do you saw it teased with the poster that the Grim Reaper type character is like pushing through our world, whether it be a
Mm-hmm.
wall or some carpet or something like that. And the effect is really phenomenal. It's
Right.
it's really done well.
And
So
which is one of the things I helped with that red herring.
yes.
Because he was going after D. Wallace Stone's character. Well, take a look here. Patricia Bradley. Patricia Bradley. Going after that character. So that was kind of leading the fact that she's a victim too. And the other thing too is, as Michael J. Fox is pulling off his scam in the beginning with Dickhead, which basically is a mirror of what he was at one time. Self-important, self-centered, whatever. He sees the number. It's like, okay, we as the viewer kind of go, okay, this has a meaning to it, but it's like, it just shows up, with the letter, that spiritual way. And Michael J. Fox didn't see it, and it's like, you got a number on there. What are you talking about? It's like, oh, okay, and he gets tossed out of the house. So we're starting to see, okay, what does these numbers have to do?
Right. Yep.
Why was Patricia Bradley being chased? Oh, obviously she's a victim. Maybe she'll get that number later on, and they have to save her because maybe she betrayed him, or I mean, wonderful.
Yeah, lots of mysteries to unpack. I couldn't find a good photo of that special effect. I did find this photo though. I didn't catch this. This is him in the back of the car. He has a little Yahtzee symbol on his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did not catch that. Huh.
I didn't either.
I did not catch that. It's in this photo. So I don't want to keep it up too long because Lord knows they'll penalize us for that. But yeah.
Yeah, the idiots. Was that the FBI guy?
Yes.
Yeah, which I can understand because later on we see him with the thing open. He's got all these, tattoos and such. And actually, Peter Jackson being a very smart man, the broken cross like that been used by societies through the ages. Is a very old one. Everybody's used it. The American Indians have used it. You can still see it on family banners and such in Japan. Of course, in India is prominent. Also out that way. The famous teepee. The famous teepee hotel had them on there at one time because it was seen on their teepees, and of course, they were pressured to take them off.
Yep.
But that makes a sense because most of the time, that was like a symbol of protection. It was a symbol of victory. Until it got perverted. For 20 years by the little Austrian corporal with the funny mustache.
Yep.
So, I mean, it would be, maybe that was one of the little Easter eggs where, he knows what the symbol means. So I'll just put it in there. And I also have this character kind of looking like the Austrian corporal with a funny mustache.
Yeah, we know what an obsession there is out of that from that era as well. So it's good to see that kind of carry over. So
right,
couldn't find a still of that cool carpet wall type stuff.
Yeah,
but folks. Peter Jackson has a little commentary that he does for, I believe, the 10th anniversary of this movie, explaining its background, how they went during this time with a lot of experimental of visual effects and computer generated stuff, and it ultimately left him with dozens of these computers. What am I going to do with these computers? Hence the reason that he said, I'm going to come up with this fantasy idea to do this fantasy film, which ultimately will become what we see as Lord of the Rings. But let me just tell you what, it is beautifully done.
You have to realize that in 1995, when a lot of the Frighteners was being made, CG effects were very new. It was the beginning of that whole trend. About 35 computers, I think, is what we ended up with at the height of the effects on the Frighteners. And there's about 500 CG shots in the film. And I was coming under a stress all of my own because I was wondering, gosh, what on earth am I going to do with all these computers when the movie is finished? And it was at that time, it was about November 95, while we were just in the thick of post-production, that the idea of doing a fantasy film came about, that I thought, okay, well, what type of movie could I make that is going to need a big computer infrastructure? And the idea of doing the Lord of the Rings came into my mind then, and the first phone calls about Lord of the Rings were made during the post-production on The Frighteners because I was starting to stress out about having all these computers and not going to have a film to actually use them on.
The only time it doesn't really work, it's typical visual effects problem. They get out over their skis when they're in the daylight. They get out in the skis when they see something where it's floating against like a plain background or something like that. And you can just tell it's cut out or whatever. So other than those shots, it actually works pretty well.
And it still holds up.
Held up really well. Yeah, I was really impressed with how well that held up. And like I said, I really wish that I could just get a couple of things modified to lean this into perfection. Should not have been rated R.
No.
Could have easily got this into the PG-13.
Yeah,
with just a couple of changes.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the board was thinking. It's like, yeah, this is really a PG-13 without doing much modification. It's you didn't have nudity. The graphic violence maybe a little bit, but really when he kills, there's nothing because he reaches in and grabs the heart, a la Judge Death in Judge Dredd. And I wouldn't doubt that might have been slightly an inspiration there. Again, this is Peter Jackson. He knows his stuff. Really, when you came to what you would call gore, was done on the poor ghosts. And the fact that they still had some remnants of what did them in, like Stewart. It's like you can see whatever was on his face.
They're attributing it more to the intensity and all of that. Violence and gore is sort of like a moderate thing. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like for its time, maybe it was more like a rated R movie. It is not a rated R movie by today's standards at all. And I got to be honest, the judge joke is probably the raciest thing in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And part of the reason it doesn't work is because it doesn't fit in. Like it would have just been better. Like I said, he just goes in the coffin. The coffin's kind of bouncing around. He can kind of roll his eyes at like the judge is being crazy. And they could have just killed off one of the other ghosts and then had the judge later on for the other scene. Either way, it's not what I'm saying. But overall, I'm glad that I rewatched it. Had a good time rewatching it. It's got great special effects. It has a great little mystery. It has some pacing issues in some ways because he's trying. He has got so much in it. He's got a lot in it conceptually, and Frank Bannister's done really well, except for this don't stay. Everyone close to me will die. Don't stay away from me. Kind of. It just goes on a little too long with that part of it. Them having sort of a affection towards each other evolves okay. And I didn't have any problem with any of that. Busey and Dee Wallace, I mean, they're just phenomenal. The other cast of characters are obviously super solid, but I mean, Busey is just made. I mean, Jake Busey is just, he looks like he's, I mean, I don't know, like I can hang out with someone who can just do these faces like that, man. He creeps you out to your core, man.
Well, I mean, you take a look at him as he's doing this, and it's like, whoa, he looks like his old man. The crazy old man, after the accident, old man. But the thing is, we've seen him in other stuff. We know that that's not how he naturally looks. I actually would find it interesting because it'd be like with Jim Carrey and how he can do his faces.
Hmm.
If we're sitting around having a good time and Jake and does a look and all that, I would have a ton of fun myself. And for the intense, I don't think this film was that intense. My
No.
word, there's PG-13 films that were more intense than this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a film
Isn't
where
Poltergeist really more intense and more edgy and
yeah,
more scary? I want to say scary, but I guess that's the best word for it. I find
oh yeah,
Poltergeist to be way more intense and stuff in this movie, like, and not by a little bit, by
no,
quite a bit. And I think it's because it's the kids, right? The kids are so involved
right,
with it, so it feels like it's not well scored and crafted by
no,
that. And the marketing didn't do it any help because the marketing
no,
is leaning into that effect of the
hmm
creature coming through like that, which is leaning it into being like a hard horror movie.
right,
That's really not the case either. I don't think it's a really
no,
hard horror movie because it does a
mm,
lot of things well visually, but it doesn't like lean into like
right,
it's not it's not really jump scares or anything like that either. I think
yeah,
it's pretty smooth. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is almost like a Ghostbusters movie. The
Yeah, pretty
same
much.
where you
Without
have
I
the
mean, yeah.
seriousness with the humor. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a direct copy, but yet, that's what you have. Maybe a little more, a little bit more intense than Ghostbusters, but not that much. Poltergeist was a plain PG film. In fact, that and Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, and of course Gremlins helped bring us to PG-13
Mhm.
rating. So if they would consider, like they did not consider uh Poltergeist being an R film, it was more to the PG realm. But my God, that film is incredibly intense. So that would have been under the new system. They would have rated it as PG-13. This film should be a PG-13 film.
Yeah, the studio just let him down. I really do
Yeah,
think that. And they also let this movie be released during the summer. They let this movie
yeah,
get moved to the summer. It got released right around the time of Independence Day. So, of
yeah.
course, it bombed in the shadow of Independence Day.
Right.
And that's also criminal. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a shame.
Yeah,
So,
this is a Halloween film. This is a
yeah.
or at least in an time where kids would be out of school because I can see the high schoolers or even the 12-year-olds sneaking in, even though it's a PG-13, uh, going in and loving this film and having a grand old time and having that
Yep.
word of mouth about, hey, you want to see a crazy film? And it's got Marty McFly in it.
Yeah, this is
You
a
know,
3 weeks out release. You release this around October 10th. You get 3 weeks going, so you get a couple of good weekends in as word of
hmm
mouth will grow, and you
yeah.
get 3 weeks of good box office into this one. So,
hmm
Baron, how you want to score this one? And any other final thoughts?
I would score this one definitely for popcorn buckets. Because despite some of the stuff we're talking about where they had a little bit of the low, um, again, well crafted. You can see the talent of Peter Jackson, where he is going. And of course, this next big project,
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings, and how that became so masterful, those three films. Uh, you know, he knew how to gather a cast. I mean, besides having good old Michael J. Fox in there. Now, I'm not really familiar with Trini Alvarado. I know I probably ruined her name. Playing there. I've really never heard of her before, but I mean, you got Jeffrey Combs right there, right? And this is this was filmed during the time, or just a little after he was in Deep Space Nine, playing various Vortas and clones of the same one. Dee Wallace-Stone again, and even under the craziness, she's still beautiful. But how she was able to perform on that. Jake Busey, I don't think he was over the top at all. I think he played that role. The fact is, so her character Patricia Brady and Johnny Bartlett were actually based on real serial team, like serial unaliving
Yeah,
team.
real serial killers. Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
of real inspirations and stuff.
right.
He is definitely showing his inner nerd in this movie for sure. There's
Well,
tons of
yeah,
that kind of stuff that you would want with how he's
he's
handling
smart,
those details. So,
right? I mean, Chi McBride, as you sat back and said, I mean, I loved him, man. I loved him. Even the kind of that reveal at the end. You know, he finally got his cigars. Uh,
Mhm.
R. Lee Ermey riding off of Full Metal Jacket. You know, being
Oh yeah, the Sarge. Yeah.
the Sarge. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely hysterical.
What in the hell is going on out here? Get back in your grave! Holy Jesus! Frank Bannister! What the hell are you doing in my graveyard? You have been told to stay away!
And so, I mean, this is loaded with a great cast, and people might not know it, how it looks. It was filmed in New Zealand, around Wellington, and I can't remember the other town. So he brought all these people down to New Zealand to do this film,
Yep. Yep. It was
but you
his
would never know it.
studio. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Trini Alvarado, by the way, is one of the co-stars in like Little Women and Stella.
Hmm.
She was in this bird movie called Polly, which I think is actually
Hmm.
kind of a cute little kids movie. Kind of forgot about that one.
Oh,
She was also in
mhm.
Babe and some other stuff. So just a
Right,
different non-genre actress from our
right.
circles. And I will agree with Baron. 4 out of 5 for me. Lean a little low if you're expecting horror. You're expecting that intensity. You're going to be
Yeah.
a little disappointed. I
Hmm.
also just think that it's a film of its time. This is another one of these examples that we don't talk about of seeing
Right.
visual effects evolve. This is him getting into the Hollywood system for the first time. This is his first real
Yeah.
Hollywood film. Everything else he'd done was a
Hmm.
uber low budget at this time. He
Hmm.
talks about those struggles, talks about that, and being able to have this opportunity to do this film and have and still maintain some sort of creative control, which he did.
Hmm.
I really have a growing admiration of this film. I actually have kind of got a note to see if what kind of physical copy I can make sure I get so that it doesn't
Yeah.
really kind of like I wouldn't say drift away into the nothingness, but I kind of feel that. I feel like it'll be a film
Hmm.
that I want to try to get onto the talk hard schedule so people will talk about it. Those kinds of things
Right.
where it's a movie that just got shortchanged by a lot of
Hmm.
things that fell in,
Right.
the box office release, how it's being marketed and handled,
Hmm.
and it's not a perfect film. Like if
No.
someone says it's a 3 out of 5, it's between a 3 and a 4. It's a solid
Right.
range for this movie,
Hmm.
depending on your expectations and things that you like and don't like about it. But
Right.
it was a very good. It's good. It fits into
Yeah.
the spooky category
Right.
for our
Hmm.
little film fest watch type stuff. I think more than anything else.
Yeah. And the thing that bumped it before popcorn buckets for me was, again, because Peter Jackson has an eye. Again, the cinematography, how he frames the shots,
Yeah.
how he uses the characters. I mean, you start seeing exactly, okay, I can see how he did Lord of the Rings or the other films like that. And my biggest recommendation to anybody right now is do a double feature back to back, right? Start off with Ghostbusters and then follow through with the Frighteners.
Mm,
Then you will get this film. Then you will
that's true.
truly get this film,
Yeah,
and you will enjoy yourself.
it doesn't have that comedic power of it. He's definitely Marty. And
Yeah.
actually, we didn't talk about it. I will try to include a little clip at the end of this video, so make sure you watch the very end. There are a couple of outtakes where he's doing his scenes, and he'll
Hmm.
say something instead of saying judge, he'll say doc. He'll say,
Ah,
"Oh my gosh, look out for that! Oh my gosh, doc!" It's like, "Oh crap, I did it again, didn't he?" So I will include those little clips if copyright will let us get it through. I think I can
yeah,
modify the screen if I have to. I'll play it in black and
yeah,
white and turn it around if I have to.
yeah.
Um, but he is got those mannerisms and stuff in this, and
Right.
it works because he's never like the serious, hard-boiled police detective or anything like that. He's
No.
like loosey-goosey con man. He can see
Hmm.
ghosts, and what does he do with it? And I don't know. And then they evolve the character so nicely into this
Right.
relationship and how he can get his life back and have a future, and it's hopeful, but
Right.
it wasn't like it's not weird or gross or anything. It's just
No.
really a fun little movie that
Right.
I wish it had dropped. I don't even know what the movies were in October 96 to have a
Hmm.
better chance. And hopefully a movie and word like this can get out to give this movie some legs and
Yeah.
get some
It
attention on
needs
it.
it.
So I'm
It
glad we
needs it.
talked about it.
And what's great about it is watching Michael J. Fox playing Bannister, right? And you're saying how that is. All he would have to do is tweak that character a little bit, and then he would become that, that hardbore, that detective with the organic humor and
Mhm.
so it's not over the top. Just the way how he looked wearing the outfit.
Yeah,
That he
yeah,
was wearing, the
yeah.
costume, and even the mannerisms. It's like, oh, we got shorted on a chance to have Michael J. Fox have a little bit more of a humorous, hard-boiled detective story,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
It's
had like
it's
in the back in the day. You know,
it's in that vein, though. It's in that
yeah,
vein, though.
it is.
Folks, make sure you check out the description, though, to connect with this guy and all the different things that he's got going on, different shows he's on, that kind of thing. Make sure you check out some of our previous work and hanging out together, and check back for more because we are not done. We are going to do more for not only October, but beyond. We're having a good time with each other and our company.
Oh yeah,
Folks, tell us what you think about Frighteners. Have you ever seen it or not? Or maybe we can get you to see it and tell us what you think. Either way, hope you're enjoying a nice October, spooky, creepy, fun time this year. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am Pops.
I think one of the funniest bloopers that happened in the Frighteners, and it happened a couple of times, was when Michael forgot what film he was in.
Little crook in the Pony Express, huh, Doc? Whoa! I called him Doc. It's fucking back.
We were doing this scene with the judge, and I was supposed to call out to him, and I just kept saying Doc.
Hey, boys! Break up!
Doc! Doc, I did it again.
Well, fucking